Up here, up here. He was in a panic. He said, what did I do? Run to the rescue. So, I mean, and the reason I'm not saying, yeah, sure, I'll stay after.
No, that's fine. That's all I needed to know. No, that's all I needed to know. Because we have not talked to them about what we want. And all we really need to tell them is more chairs. Because I've got a list that I'm going to send out today to get confirmation because a lot of people are not. So that's no on the one up and coming. Because we're up to like 55, almost 60. And I just want to make sure we have enough food and enough chairs. So, no, they're not there. She wanted to chat with you and that's okay.
And say, I've been doing all these houses, you know, and you do this show, and the same song, yeah. Yeah, I did customers last week, and
They're both, but you want to hold it and completely in this game because you can't get it close to it. Right? Sure.
Decent water.
Okay. You bet.
Sorry.
I'm here. Other than that, hey, help that department, we're doing a lot of work. No, comes up to the coffee.
It'll probably be between 12:20 and 12:45, pretty much 30 minutes. Pretty much I'd rather finish the talk and I'll stand up.
Just like what you want to.
I don't want to be happy. All right, let's get it started. Make certain that we're Hi, Kelly.
Good afternoon. They put the chairs further back so everybody feels like they're way on back down there. Welcome to today's meeting. John Hart, would you lead us in our invocation, please?
Let us pray. Dear Father, thank you for the opportunity to be here together as friends and associates to care about this world like a better place. We especially thank you for allowing on the day when we honor our nation's flag. We just ask a special prayer on our country. We ask that you bring the division together. We ask that you quell any animosities that are out there and help us once again be one nation under God. We just thank you for this Rotary Club and all it does. Thank you for its members. We ask you to bless them and their families. These things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, sanctify you, city, by the dawn's early light, was so proudly revealed at the twilight's rising. His footsteps and bright stars through the perilous fire. For the red was we was, were so gallantly slain, and the rocket's red glare, the dawn's mercy gave proof in the night that our flag was still there. Those Savior's bright stars spangled banner yet wave. For the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you. Please be seated. And I would like to thank Nicole for being our piano player today.
We do have one guest and one visiting. Thought it was guest last week, but he's visiting. Christina and Kelly. Thank you so much for bringing us on this. Christina has joined Kelly today. And then Paul Lasser back there is actually visiting Rotarian. He is not new. He's visiting Rotarian.
And we have Danny Carpenter as well. Danny Carpenter.
Danny Carpenter.
He's in the flag next to the.
He's thinking.
He's thinking.
He's thinking. Okay. Oh, and we have our district governor, Jack Welby, and his wife, Ava. Welcome, Bill Coates. Do we have a sports moment?
Hey, just a couple things real quick. College World Series of baseball starts in Omaha, Nebraska this week. It's really a cool deal. Tom's Vanderbilt Commodores are the town champions from 2 years ago. We didn't have it last summer. The University of Texas is in. Vandy's in again. There you go. And Razorbacks got beaten yesterday. Not the number one ranked team in the country. They got knocked out. You didn't know that? They got and little Dallas Baptist from Oak Cliff, Texas, is in the place where they play in Virginia today. If they win, they're in for the first time ever. So 8 teams go to Omaha. It's really a great sporting event. Omaha's one of those towns that adopted it many years ago, and they've done a great job with it. Expanded their stadium, built a new stadium to house it. Yeah, it's great. So anyway, that'll be on TV this week. And speaking of college athletics, the current college football playoff, if you follow college football, it's a 14 invite, basically. They have a committee that selects the Final Four. And that's better than what we had when I was growing up. It was a mythical championship when the polls kind of sort of declared a champion, and some years 2 teams got to brag. Anyway, it's evolved over the years. The money's huge. It's a great TV event. So last week, this committee that they put together studied this playoff, so they come back with a recommendation. They want to expand it from 4 to 12. Now, the money is going to be massive for something like this, but it will allow other teams, even smaller schools like Boise State, who've got to be pretty good at football, maybe give them an open door to get in. So it's going to be interesting. It won't take effect until 2023, but the college football landscape is definitely going to change in the next couple of years. And The almighty dollar, as usual, is driving the bus. Yes, sir, John?
Because about the high school football training camp.
Well, that starts in mid-July, and I think we'll have football season again this year. We were lucky to get one in last year, but we played all 10 games and started about a month late. They were playing in January, but we got a football season again. Yes, sir. Probably second or third week of January. I'm sure they'll use the bowls and all that stuff, but they haven't worked. None of that's been working out yet. It's all just a pie in the sky right now. But given the money, when the college presidents see those dollars that are the possibility of those bucks, they're all going to say, yeah, because that does drive the train, college athletics.
Thank you very much, Bill. All right,
Put the orange, by the way, Tom.
Johnny Ortiz could not be with us today, so he didn't have a particular member spotlight, so I thought I'd ask if there's any volunteers who would like to be spotlighted today. Not everybody jump up and down all at the same time. All right, seeing none, we'll save some time for the end of the meeting just to hang out and talk some. Okay, announcements. I would like to remind everybody that 2 weeks from today is my last meeting as your Rotary president. Thankfully, there was no cheers. That's good to hear. And it'll be when we install President-elect Beth, and then we're also going to be handing out some service awards. I have sent out a couple of emails, and I think most everybody in the room has done this, but I'm going to pass around the sign-up sheet. Your name's on here. If you've told me you're coming, it's got a 1 next to yes. If you told me you're not coming, it's got a 1 next to no. If you would make certain you sign up, we're just trying to get a good head count for tables and food. So I'm going to start it here. And just because I know sometimes we have issues, this table to that table to that table, to that table to that table to that table. Okay? Got it? Thank you. Beth, did you want to come on up? While she's on her way up, I want to remind everybody that we have our last board meeting of the year. It's going to be this Thursday at 4:30 at True Vine Brewery on Earl Campbell. And for the board members who attend, I'm buying the first round of drinks. If you're not on the board, you're still welcome to come out. I may or may not be nice and buy your drink depending on how many board members show up. So we'll be there from 4:30 to 6, so come on out. It will really be a little bit more about getting ready for Beth's year than wrapping up my year, but come on out. So I'm going to turn it over to Beth for a minute.
So this past week, my family and I took a vacation down to Galveston, and one of the things I love to do when I travel is to reach out to other Rotary clubs. So I attended the Space Center of Houston Rotary Club. Had a great program on the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. But what's kind of interesting to me is that the gentleman who was the Sentinel, who was the speaker, he was at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier when I was a high school junior and attended presidential classroom, and I was chosen by our class to lay the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown, and we were there at the same time, so that's kind of an ironic thing. Another fun fact, these flags are the only ones who have been in orbit around the moon. So I bring this and present it to President Biden. Thank you.
That flag has been in orbit around the moon.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes, it's been in orbit. So thank you, Beth.
Wow.
I asked her, she's a little tired coming back from a week's vacation. You know how it is when you get back to work the first day, everybody inundates you with things that need to be done. Okay, a couple of quick things. You probably saw some emails come out. I know there's some information on Facebook. But early registration for the Houston June 22, 2022 convention is open now. If you register this week, it's only $425, and it goes up to, anybody else? At the end of this week, it goes up to.
It'll end up about $600.
Yeah, it'll end up about $600. So this is a great opportunity to get to know Rotarians from across the world, and it's right in our backyard. You don't have to pay to travel across the. I think next year is in Australia. But if you're thinking about going, go ahead and book a room because there's set rooms that are in the. What do you call it? The block. And the cheaper rooms go quick. So if you want to make sure that you're not paying $300 a night, try to go ahead and reserve your rooms now. All that information is on the Rotary International website, and it came out in a couple of emails, and it was in yesterday's bulletin. Also in yesterday's bulletin, we have the district officer installation coming up on Saturday, June 26th. It is at Mill Creek in Canton. It's an RV park, so it should be kind of relaxed and enjoyable. Casual dress, we'll get to wrap up Jack's year, which will really be more at the conference in October, but Mike Grill will be installed as the new district governor, and myself, I will be installed as the assistant governor. Tom DeWitt, it's your last chance to speak forever and ever. I know, not really, but come on up. That got a rousing round of applause, Tom, I don't know.
You know, I can just stay home and be amused.
No, we need you here, Tom. All right, Tom, you guys know what he's going to ask you, right?
What am I asking about? This is the official last call for the matching campaign. We have generated since April the 1st, 11 either new or advancements in Paul Harris standing within the club. And that's before I issue the transfer points for the match campaign. So we have literally generated over $12,000 in donations during the campaign, which the way Tom thinks means 3 years from now we get to do another $6,000 to $10,000 project with Rotary paying half. So that's a really good deal. A real good return on our investment. I want to thank Lee for his assistance during my absence, because there is one other thing that I'm more passionate about than my family and Rotary, and that's my doors. And you all didn't hear, but as Billy went by, he did a hook 'em horns. What Bill forgets is that Ann and I have 2 Longhorns in the household. And so yesterday was a horns up and anchor down day. But if any of you have any dollars that you would like to contribute to the foundation, qualifying for matching points, today's the last day I can accept those in person. Although if you want to drop it off at the house, I'll process it between now and the 20th. Okay? Any questions? Thank you so much for this last opportunity during your term.
It's not the last. You know it's not the last. He's my last speaker of the day before we get ready to turn it over to our district governor. So, any other announcements from the floor? Anything that I missed? Oh, there was one thing I missed. He wasn't here last week. Tom DeWitt, as of June 5th, has started his 48th year in Rotary. Congratulations. I don't see anybody else on the list. You know, Michael starts his 4th year, and I start my 7th year. Okay. So I printed this really small, so if I squint, I'd like to welcome up our district governor, Jack Elby, to talk to us about the Fellowships of Rotary. Jack is a native of Austin, Texas, and is a lawyer in practice for over 41 years. He is a past chair of the aviation law section of the State Bar of Texas, and he's a certified in family law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization. He's a panel member of the Airplane Owners and Pilots Association, and he's a life membership in that organization. He's past president of the Rotary Club of Longview for 40 years, consecutive perfect attendance, and is currently our district governor. He serves as the South Central Chair of the International Fellowship of Flying Rotarians, and he and his wife are both our major donors to the Rotary Foundation. He has served as a vestry board member for the Trinity Episcopal Church in Longview, where him and his family have attended since 1977. He's a member of the Board of Trustees of the Trinity School of Texas. Trying to be brief here. His wife Ava, they've been married together 42 years. This may be an old daughter, so 43 years they reside in Longview. Have 2 successful grown daughters, both Walters fellows, and 2 rescue dogs still, Border Collie and Eastla. And do you have
That's what they look like anyway.
Is it a hoodlum or a hanger, or do you have a preferred sports team?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a preferred sports team? Apparently that's big in this club, so.
Preferred sports team, Longhorns.
Longhorns, okay, there you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've asked Jack to come and speak to us about Rotary fellowships.
Thank you, President Diane, Rotarians, yes. We're here today to talk a little bit about Rotary fellowships. What are they? How do you get in one? Is it worth joining? Is it worth joining? Thank you, Tom. Is it worth joining? And then lastly, what can you do in one? Now that you've done it, now are you here I am, what happens? So the first slide that we have here is a picture of the fishing fellowship. There are some 80 fellowships now, and through those fellowships, and I've got a handout on the table in front of you that will give you an example of some of them. You can go online, you can explore most of these online, but the real questions we're going to be talking about are what are they, examples, why join, and then how to get involved, and then resources on how to do it if you want to set up your own. So basically, Rotary fellowships are groups of Rotarians with a common interest or hobby who coalesce together as actually a former member and initial chair of the Fellowship of Flying Rotarians, E. Edison Kennel, who started us back in '65. I'm a pilot and I'm a Rotarian. And that's really kind of unique because when I seek out these types of people or I run into them, all kinds of great things happen. And that is what we find actually throughout all fellowships. Now, just some examples of Rotary fellowships. First, our Flying Fellowship. Secondly, one that Faye J. Durant was publicizing pretty well a couple of years ago, Rotary means business. We understand when we come to our Rotary meetings, we normally don't talk about business. But this is an opportunity to be in a fellowship where all you really do is talk about business, if that's your desire. Then, of course, there's the Antique Car Fellowship, Amateur Radio Fellowship, International Fellowship of Skiers, Yachting Fellowship, and everything from philately to old car license plates to RVers. And it's kind of interesting because Ava and I were presenting this program at the LaGrange Rotary Club here a number of years ago. And you know how sometimes when you're before a brand new group and there's not much response and things look kind of flat and a few people had their arms crossed and I was thinking, well, I'm not making headway here at all. And I got past this slide and then suddenly there was a hand in the back of the room. And he said, well, could you go back one slide? And I did. And he said, you see that guy in the middle, the third from the left in the back? He said, that's me. And we were there in, gosh, I've forgotten the slide, coming out of some Rotary convention, in Europe. And they were RVing and they had met and that's what this is all about. Then there's a Wine Fellowship. I think we've got Diane who's a member of the Wine Fellowship. Anybody else?
Beth, but she had to leave.
There's whiskey too.
There's whiskey
And
too.
there's Whiskey Fellowship, there's a Beer Fellowship. If we could, let me just take a break. Let's see a show of hands of folks who are in a fellowship. Good. So to join the Rotary Fellowship, you have an opportunity to engage shared interests, to make lasting friendships, and literally to do that around the globe. You have an opportunity, I've got to get myself here, right? You have an opportunity to contribute to the advancement of world peace and understanding, and to serve as an incentive for attracting other members to Rotary, also to your particular interest. Now, if I may digress here just briefly, this past year, there has been a real push from the standpoint of the Public Image Committee with Rotary. This was all done back 10, 15 years ago, but I think nobody really paid a whole lot of attention. This has been our Rotary International Fellowship of Flying Rotarians symbol for the longest time. And this preceded that. Then when Public Image started saying, you know, we really need to do something, we changed to the mark of excellence in the center, and we were told, gee, that's fine, but since what we've now done on all fellowships is we've opened them not just to Rotarians alone, but to all folks who might have an interest to know of it. And of course, what they're looking at is, if you come to our IFFR meetings, or if you come to the Wine Fellowship meetings, you know, and you aren't a Rotarian, you might really enjoy Rotary, and you might really think, hey, I need to hang out with these folks some more. Let me ask. In fairness and honesty, I think that was all going on anyhow, but now there's an underscored reason for it. So this is our new symbol. As you are members of these fellowships, you're going to find that you do various things. Each year, for those of you who have been online with the Rotary Virtual Convention, you'll find that at the House of Friendship, there is a breakout into various rooms, and one of them will be IFFR. There are other represented fellowships there. But if you go to Houston next year, as we were discussing, you'll actually be in the Hall of Friendship. You'll actually be able to come over to our booth, meet us, visit with us, see what we have planned. And by the way, we are planning on a fly out from Houston. Now, if you're sitting back there saying, I'm not a pilot, I don't have a plane, I don't have a ride, I don't have, you know, a way to do this, not a problem. I'm sounding more and more like Tom. If you come, if you express an interest, there are those pilots who will have empty space in their aircraft. We also have a bus that will be following along. It's going a little slower than the aircraft, but it's still going to have some fun, and there'll be a lot of fellowship that goes on as we go to the various destinations. We're trying to do kind of a big loop around Texas to give those folks from, you know, who come internationally a feel for what we're really like. We'll be doing a tour of Space Center Houston, and I wanted to thank Beth personally for you know, building to this program. But we'll be doing that. We'll also be taking in some other stops, probably Ellington Field, probably, you know, then throughout Texas as we go. It's in the planning stage right now, so don't hold me to exact figures right now. And I just found out the other evening I'm on the planning committee, so all is good. But this was at a flyer that we had at the IFFR get-together for the U.S. Grand Prix in Austin. Now, we did this in LaGrange, Texas. And you might think, now LaGrange is kind of an odd place, perhaps, but guys, it's 55 minutes from the track. If you stay in Austin, you're further away from the track than LaGrange. So that's why LaGrange. LaGrange also has a nice 5,000-foot runway. A number of our flying Rotarians who were coming in for the race were able to put it down on that, but not a shorter runway. So when you're there, you do other things. You take tours of painted churches, which we did. We took in some art galleries. Latte on the Square, this lady is and passed on this last year during COVID, was the oldest living flight attendant, and she was a Delta flight attendant. Her name was Norma. Last name escapes me right now, and I'm sorry. But she developed an immediate bond with our past IFFR president, Michael Graves, who's a urologist in Plainview. It also gives you an opportunity to visit other clubs. Beth had mentioned Space Center Houston. This was at a combined Houston all-club Valentine's Day gathering, and IFFR was there. Ava's in the picture along with Lynn Miller, one of our former international secretaries, and we were there basically with a booth recruiting members.
We also have astronauts in the club.
Which is kind of cool too. And by the way, anybody wants to chime in as we go through, feel free. This is kind of open forum. Okay. So also we've had fly-ins to Bar Harbor. Mike Graves called us up kind of out of the blue and said, "I'm not sure about your 182. You said it was in the shop. I'm taking my Aerostar. Would you and Ava be interested in sitting in the back seat?" Well, I ended up sitting in one of the pilot seats up front, the right seat, since I'm not qualified on that craft. And Ava and Karen were in the back, and we had a number of interesting views of Bar Harbor, and then split out. We've also done fly-ins to various other destinations. The $100 hamburger is one of the things that flyers all talk about, and it's not that we're seeking that type of specialized menu, but what we do is by the time that you rent the plane, you gas the plane, you take off, you arrive at the destination, you fly back from the destination, you will have spent $100. The hamburger is kind of on top of that. The Black Walnut Cafe that is there on the Houston Executive Conroe Airport actually has a $100 hamburger on the menu. If you buy it, they will charge you $100. They will also give you a gift certificate for $100 worth of meals later, which is kind of an interesting thought. We've also done, and one of the most interesting ones we did was to the Silent Wings Museum, which is a glider museum, military glider museum in Lubbock, Texas. How many of y'all are familiar with the military gliders from World War II? This is a museum to them. These things were built out of wood. If you look at them, the wonder is that they would fly at all. But they did, and they served a purpose very nicely. They had a marvelous way to land them, and then later to recover them. And if I remember correctly, they used a BC-2 actually to catch them, and it's almost like one of the James Bond films, where he's floating on the raft, and the airplane comes along and catches the balloon that he has launched from the raft, and they go on. Well, this is a little bit like these gliders took off. And then the really fun stuff, the international convention fly-ins. We went to Bangkok. The flyaway from Bangkok ended up taking us to Hong Kong, taking us to Chiang Mai, to Angkor Wat, to Halong Bay. And throughout this entire time, we were with this group of people, some of whom Ava and I did not know well. Lynn Miller was a perfect example. Lynn's become a very close friend. This is what these fellowships can do for you. And as in addition to that, a little bit further along, we were at a European section fly-in in Scotland, held by Ian Kerr. Ian's very, very Scot, marvelous guy, fascinating fellow. it was as though when we pulled up, we didn't know him that well, it was as though we were his best friend. Literally. Not trying to sell us anything, everything's great. I ended up doing bartending for him that evening at one of their parties. But on this is a picture of us, and if you've looked at my picture that we have on the district governor cards, this is on the boat Discovery. It was Admiral Scott's boat. It's the one that I believe went to South America. Is that correct? The South Pole? And it also gives you a chance to take in other things. But the big issue is you have all these opportunities. So how do you take action? And what does it cost? IFFR for years was $40. It's dropped significantly since then. I think it's $25 now. For a few years, it was nothing at all. And it simply is determined by how much are in the international coffers and what they feel is coming up. And that's true with just about all of them. But if you join a fellowship, the place to go is Rotary.org/fellowships. I have a handout on each one of the tables with regard to that. You can invite your local fellowship officers to speak, and I appreciate you doing that today. You can connect with Rotarians and Rotaractors around the globe. And one of the things that we've not really done, we've talked a lot about it, and that is bringing in Rotaractors, and more importantly, bringing in interactors from the community, not only to our Rotary Club meetings, but also to help us with our service projects with our fellowships. We want to publicize fellowship-sponsored events to seek out Rotarians outstanding in their professions and bring them into Rotary. So proposing a new fellowship, take a look at those. None of them seem to appeal to you. You want to be part of a brand new fellowship. Here's how: 25 potential members representing 5 countries. Complete an application form, a copy of the group's proposed bylaws, and a list of proposed officers. Now for resources, you have, of course, My Club Central, and Rotary.org. You have the Rotary Fellowship's e-flyer and the application form, and you have those of us in the community who have done it, who have been part of it. Check with Diane, see about the wine fellowship. There were some other hands. Lee, which one are you in? Ask Lee. I know they had some really, really cool pins with the state of Texas. They looked a little bit like the Pence pin that FAJ was handing out. They may now be out of those, but I'm sure they have some other very interesting things. And has it worked well for you?
Yes. No.
Okay. Good answer. So, as you go through this, remember June now is Fellowships Month. It's an opportunity for all of us to get out of our regular 9-to-5 grind, if you will. It's a chance to reach out to others, to find out a little bit more about what being a Rotarian is really about. And just to step out of that for a second, many times you're called on to do things and you aren't really sure exactly what's going to come of it. Best example was a time, and I don't think Ava was able to come on this, but I had an opportunity called on by our former president of International Fellowship of Flying Rotarians to join with another district conference that was being held in Kerrville, Texas at the airport. And they had a fly-in for that, and the specific purpose of that was Challenge Air. How many of y'all are familiar with Challenge Air? Challenge Air is an organization which supports disadvantaged and disabled youngsters. It gives them an opportunity to fly, with a certified pilot. It gives him a chance to see what being in the air is all about and being out of yourself and out of your disabilities can do. And my plane, unfortunately, was in the shop at that time, but I drove down with some friends to the airport, and we were ground crew. And it was a fun afternoon, and you aren't really certain exactly what we've accomplished until the president of their organization took the mic. And she thanked all of us for being there, and she said, when my little Johnny goes up with you, he feels like he has no limits, no disabilities. He feels like he can do anything. And when he comes back down, I've been around him. My Johnny can do anything. And that's what we can do. That's the impact that we have on other people. You've seen it through food drives. You've seen it through other things we've been involved with this year. We do it through fellowships also. Come join with us, enjoy us, and enjoy fellowships. Y'all have any questions? Yes?
Got an airplane to fly.
I have that question. It's a 182, 1977 model, 182Q. And enjoy it quite a bit. Yes?
And did you fly that to Thailand?
I did not fly that to Thailand.
We were on commercial flights, we were in communist countries, I don't think you'd want to take it practically. We were in Cambodia and Vietnam, as well as Thailand and Hong Kong.
It was a lot of fun. Other questions?
We also received invitations from all over the world. We really do have friends from all over the world. One of our members is Russian, believe it or not. I didn't know they had Rotary in Russia, who's a member. But anyway, we have friends from Britain, British Isles, all of European section, New Zealand, Australia, you name it. We have friends in Hong Kong, which just took off a few years ago. We met them, we had a meeting, we had a dinner in Hong Kong, one of the top banks in Hong Kong. And their club, they set up a club, and they have over 100 members in the National Fellowship of Higher Rotarians, which really taken off. But the main purpose of fellowships is to have fun. Not just work, it's not a work club, it's a fun club, so.
Anybody else? President Diane, it's been a pleasure. Thank you all so very much. I was joking a little bit on the way in. I'm wearing a different name tag than the district governor name tag. It's not because I'm really tired of being district governor and I want to duck out quickly. And I promised Mike that. But it's been a real pleasure serving y'all this year. Thanks very much.
I have two things that I'm going to do. First, will you draw one of these little blue tickets, mix them up a little bit, put them back in there, and then read the last four numbers.
Okay, the last four numbers are 5912.
5912. All right, I think we did this last week. No.
By the way, we have Tom Steele, if you know, we have over $900 in the pot.
Wonderful.
25 cars.
All right.
Oh!
So Jack, before you sit down, come back. I know you guys have seen, I make things from time to time at the innovation pipeline, and I get out there and I get really excited. I was like, what else can I make Rotary-wise? And so I decided to make Jack a gift for, first of all, coming to speak to us, but also for serving as district governor. So I made a cutting board that has the Rotary opens opportunities with his name and year on it.
Thank you. Thank you.
One of the reasons that I did invite Jack to speak, besides the fact that June is the fellowship month, is that I really encourage you guys to take advantage of these opportunities that Rotary gives us. You know, Rotary Opens Opportunity is the theme for the year, and I think these fellowships are just such a fascinating way to get to know people in your club. I mean, for example, I'm going to call on while she's talking, but Colleen likes to camp. I like to camp. Why don't we ever go camping together?
So I don't know the rest of the game.
Yeah, we did. Yes, we did. You know, so, and the other thing that's kind of neat about these is, for example, I am in the wine fellowship. We don't really have a local wine group that does a lot of stuff. But the Houston Convention, that will automatically give me a group to go spend time with. I may not know any of them, but I have that common interest with them. So when I get to Houston, there's 50,000 people. What are the odds I'm going to really be around people that I know? So now I have a common interest. You know, if you travel or you like to go to other states, yeah, you can go to a Rotary meeting all the time, but wouldn't it be great to go to a state that you know somebody who likes to bowl like Brad does? I know you looked into the bowling fellowship. I think it was all overseas somewhere. So if you get a chance, check them out. Some of them are just online. I know that there's like a photography one that's online. There's no dues to join. I think the wine fellowship one, there's like $100 lifetime dues fee. And once you pay it, you're a member for life, and you get a really cute corkscrew pin to wear and all that stuff. So that's why we wanted to talk to you a little bit about Rotary fellowships today. We're going to wrap up early, like I said. Are there any announcements from the floor before any life happens? Anything exciting happening in anybody's life that we need to know about? I have 2 more weeks of being Rotary president. I'm sad. I'm happy, but I'm sad. I told Jerry when I came in, I'm going to be so happy when I don't have to lug my laptop with my camera into every single meeting. That'll turn over to Beth in a few weeks. We hope you can come out on the 28th for our installation banquet. We've got 5 service awards that we're giving out. We'll be recognizing members of our club for their contributions. We'll also be doing all these Paul Harris Fellow pins as soon as we get them in time. A lot of people are doing this right now, so they don't have to get them all in time. We'll wrap up my year, we'll install President Beth, and we'll be ready to kick off the new Rotary year. Any questions, comments, concerns from the peanut gallery out there? You guys sure are quiet today.
The barbecue.
Yeah, the barbecue. All right, well, then I'll let you guys get down here for this early. Randy, would you mind leading us in our 4-way test?
Please join the 4-way test with things you think, say, or do. First,
This is true.
second,
This is their law concerns.
third,
Will build better friendships.
fourth.
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
Yeah, you have to. They're very serious. Yes.